press conference from Dan Campbell.
Loved it. Loved it. This is the attitude and the approach, the no excuses, next man up, whatever it takes, us against the world, Detroit versus everybody mentality that changed that culture from one of the worst in the NFL to one of the best. It was, with all due respect to Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, they didn't change the culture. He changed it. Remember that kneecaps, all that mess?
Yeah, of course.
And everybody laughed at him and mocked him?
Yeah.
Well, he went out there and backed up his words. And this is, look, I said last week, I don't think they're winning 15 games. I don't think they're winning 14 maybe, or 13 necessarily.
I think their win total is at 10 and a half.
10 and a half.
So it's
I think they'll still be a good playoff team, but that's the attitude you have to have. You can't, and that's what your players need to see. No excuse. We are getting back Aiden Hutchinson. We do have a lot of our people returning that were great last year, so I like it.
Listen, I like this from him, but I think a lot of what he said is things Lions fans should be worried about. I am worried about the defense, particularly because I thought it was a defense that before the injuries just totally ravaged it, Aaron Glenn was, making the sum greater than, each individual part.
He kept them.
Right, and so I think that's problematic. I think that they already had some questions on the interior of the offensive line. That's now greater with Ragnar retiring. I think that the division, as you've said, is, probably the toughest in the NFL, if not on the very, very short list. Definitely, in my opinion, the toughest in the NFC. And I think there is a real emotional toll from the way they've been knocked out in the playoffs the last 2 years. Being this close to the Super Bowl and then the next year being from wire to wire the best team in the NFC, only to play your absolute worst game. And I am concerned how that game affects the guy over Wilds' shoulder, and it's not Dan Campbell I'm talking about. Yeah. I think that if you're Jared Goff and you were the number one pick and then got that team to a Super Bowl after a bad rookie year but new head coach, and then that head coach who turned your career around gave up on you aggressively to where in a playoff game you were healthy enough to play in, he started the Wolfman, and then was forced to play you, and then attached a first-round pick to trade you away to go get Stafford. And then this team that embraced you, you had to sit all offseason knowing I cost us. I had my worst game of the year, couldn't stop turning the ball over in a game we had no business losing. And it was because of me.
It was not because of Jared Goff. Oh, my God. That game was messy on lots of accounts. Did Jared Goff play unbelievably amazing? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I know you guys think that I can bring up Patrick Mahomes a lot, and I really don't want to. But I know without a shadow of a doubt, Nick Wright does not blame Patrick Mahomes for the loss in the Super Bowl. I know he doesn't. I know he does not. And yet, Patrick Mahomes had his worst game of the season against, the Eagles. And you say, well, the Super Bowl, it's still the playoffs, guys. It's still the playoffs, okay? It's still the playoffs. It's not like we're comparing week 3 to whatever. Well, Patrick Mahomes won Super Bowls. I don't care. That doesn't have anything to do with this part of the conversation. We're evaluating single games. We're not talking about a career trajectory or a resume. It has nothing to do with anything. I mean, there was blame to go around everywhere. You had wide receivers throwing interceptions. You had a weird approach to the run game. The defense was decimated with injuries. Bad play calling from Ben Johnson. Tom Brady himself called it out. Just stop. And once games start to kind of get a little bit out of reach, quarterbacks can get a little crazy. That's what happens because it's win or go home. But I did not watch that game and say, oh, Jared Goff lost them the game. Jared Goff plays better. They win. They'll beat the Eagles. They go to the Super Bowl. That was not the story here. That's not the story. And this emotional hangover, these emotional issues from losing the last couple of years. That's such nonsense. As a player, you are salivating for another opportunity. You're thinking, oh my gosh, we were so close in 23. And then 24, we are rolling. We are rocking. We are getting after it. And then, yeah, things fell from underneath us. We dealt with injuries. We dealt with some other stuff. And you still just can't wait. All right, year 3, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. If you were an amazing team and multiple times your quarterback just laid an egg, or it was clear the coaching staff was like, oh my God, we don't know what we're doing. We can win regular season games, but we can't win playoff games. I could understand that a little bit. If you were having a Dak Prescott experience from regular season to playoffs, and it was year after year after year after year, I could understand. I could understand if Jared Goff embarrassed himself against said coach Sean McVay and the Rams. And it was just like, oh, he cannot handle the moment. He got knocked out by the team that got rid of him. And then the next year in the playoffs, he lost to Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. Come on, dude. Seriously? Seriously? This is the made-up forced narrative that we're going to run with right now? Now, I think it would be fair to say, hey, you know what? Jared Goff, coming off of a rough playoff game, now he's going to be dealing with a new offensive play call, like a new coach that he's going to have to develop a relationship with. And I know there's some continuity there, but it's different than having Ben Johnson. How do you overcome that? It makes sense. Like, you know, you would like to be able to be side by side with have some continuity. It is the best benefit that you have as having a true offensive head coach, play caller, Andy Reid, Sean McVay. Like, those are the benefits. You have that continuity. That makes sense. So I think that would be a worthwhile discussion to have. But this idea that it's just like starting to break the seam, like Amon-Ra St. Brown's like, I just can't take it anymore. I gotta get out of here. Or he's like just not gonna be able to play football anymore. He just like can't catch passes. Like I don't understand this like idea of this like this like, oh, they have 2 rough playoff losses and now it's just like that's just gonna break this culture. No, will it devastate the fans? Will the fans get restless? Can the fans get exhausted? Can they be sad and bummed? Absolutely, of course. I mean, fan bases feel that way all the time. How do you think Buffalo Bills and Baltimore Ravens fans feel right now? How do you think Eagles fans felt after 22 and 23? Heartbreaking Super Bowl loss, then getting rocked in the playoffs round 1, you know, wild card round against the Bucks. It was like, oh man. And then they won the Super Bowl. I mean, like, and so oh my God. Again, it would make sense if they lost in similar ways, if you felt like you had this, like, again, fragility there, a fragility of a coaching staff, a fragility of a quarterback. That's why I think, like, Dak Prescott's kind of a good example. And I'm not trying to dunk on Dak, honestly, but, like, next year, the next season that the Dallas Cowboys are in the playoffs, like, are you really having big confidence against Dak Prescott? Like, really, you really believe that Dak Prescott's going to rise to the occasion? Even if they ended up winning. Let's say they had an amazing regular season and they then had the first seed, you know, a first round bye. So they only had to play 2 playoff games and a Super Bowl. And let's just say the first 2 playoff games were kind of easy, right? Not that hard. It was just kind of basic. You didn't need a ton out of Dak. Would anyone have a strong confidence that Dak would rise to the occasion against the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, whoever? No, you would be like, I have no idea how Dak is going to play. In fact, I'm pretty nervous. We've seen him play great in the regular season. In the divisional round and the NFC Championship game, he really didn't have to do much. They didn't need to ask him a lot. If the Cowboys have to ask him to do a lot against the Bills or Chiefs, which I think they will, I'm not so sure how he's going to handle that. Like, that would be totally fair. But that's not the conversation that we're having with Jared Goff right now. And it's so exhausting how we constantly, and I've said this now in so many videos recently because this seems to be the common theme of the summer. It's just like, You're just either an all-time great quarterback or you're just like, you're a bum. Nobody wants you. Nobody wants you. And it's like, what? What are we saying here? Him bringing up this emotional turmoil or whatever is like, that's when I'm just like, oh my God, what are we saying here? Because like, look at the juice of the team. Dan Campbell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, Gibbs, Montgomery. I mean, like, and you think that those guys are like, they're gonna break because they lost some playoff games? Okay, so then why isn't that the case for the Bills and the Ravens? I mean, I don't understand. When the Chiefs lost in 2018 in devastating fashion against the Patriots, why wasn't there an emotional hangover the next year? Well, because Patrick Mahomes, you didn't know that was what it was going to be. If anything, this bodes well for you Detroit Lions fans, because this is exactly what he said about the Philadelphia Eagles in 2024. Like, 2024, 2025. Well, they lost in 22, and then 23 was even worse, and why would anything be any different? Jalen Hurts, there's real question. The media is talking about getting rid of him. They're going to Carson Wentz him to become a Super Bowl MVP. So, I don't know, man. If I were you, I've instantly become mega high on the Detroit Lions now. I might have to say I think the Lions are going to win the Super Bowl. Jared Goff MVP. Like, I'm so tempted to make that's what I'm going to make the title of this video. Jared Goff Super Bowl MVP prediction. Lock it. I mean, listen, to be fair, I don't think that the Lions are going to win 15 games either. Like, like, that statement is also funny. It's like, oh, I don't think they're going to win 50 games. Oh, really? You don't think that a team is going to only lose 2 games? Because that's like such a common thing that happens in the NFL, just like so casually. Like, it's just real easy just to knock off 15, 16 wins. Like, ain't no thing. I mean, like, oh my God. Thank God this is the last video that I got to record right now. Because like, I'm like, I need to step away right now, man. The emotionalness of it, like, there's a time and a place for that. Like, there is, and I do believe the pressure for some of these guys can get to them. I believe when there's money on the line, especially when there's like real money on the line, like, like if you're a rookie, like a cheap deal or whatever, and you've had a couple playoff games now that were just really bad. Like, I believe Lamar Jackson felt the pressure. Like, I have not been playing good in the playoffs. I need to play good in the playoffs. What the heck? And because he's essentially admitted, he's like, I don't know. Like, when he was talking about that with the Steelers, he's like, I don't know why this isn't working. Why I can't have good games against the Steelers. And so you are going to feel it to a degree. You are. But that's not the story of the Lions here. It's not the story at all. They had a bad game. They lost. Jared Goff was not perfect. Neither was Ben Johnson. Neither was who ended up throwing. I forget who ended up throwing the ball. It wasn't Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think it was Addison. That was just awful. The Commanders were an incredibly hot team. I mean, they just were. Jaden Daniels had an awesome season. Cliff Kingsbury was on one. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, Jaden Daniels had a touchdown pass. I think it was to McLaurin. Where he threw the ball like 1 yard and like took it to the house. And I'm always aware of a yak monster. I always point out big yak moments because I remember in my mind I was like, because I've been very high on Jaden Daniels, I was like, well, that was a pretty easy pass for him that then just, like his stats really got boosted in that moment. And like, that's what they were able to do that game. And I'm sure Jared Goff felt the pressure of like, I got to score 1 million points here because our defense will not be able to stop this. And sometimes things go wrong. That's just what happens. We've seen it happen to every quarterback. Literally. Every quarterback worth talking about. It's happened to them. And like, you want to bring up Sean McVay right now? We're bringing up something that happened years ago. Like, what? Okay, and I had my heart broken when I was 12. Like, I don't know, man. I had a Valentine's Day card, like, returned to me accidentally when I was in the 3rd grade because it fell on the floor, and I thought they returned it to me because they didn't want it, when in reality, it just fell on the ground, and some kid picked it up and just put it on my desk, and I was so heartbroken. I was so sad, and now I lay in bed every single night thinking about it. Will anyone love me? It's like, that's what we're talking about here. Oh, my God. Right, Jared Goff now, all of a sudden, has no faith or confidence in himself. Man signed like a $200 million contract. I just need to end it here. I need to end it here. You gotta love, this will be my last point. I'm gonna end it after this. You gotta love how the only team that's ever able to consistently be great, to face adversity, to not let anything else affect them, no matter what it is, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. They're the only team in all of American sports, in all of sports in general, on every, every inch of this earth and universe. Only Mahomes and the Chiefs are able to deal with anything. But any of the other teams, they're just a bunch of Humpty Dumptys that before you know it, they're going to have a great big fall. And it's going to be hard to put these pieces back together. I mean, the Lions had a devastating loss in the NFC Championship game. And people predicted that that was going to have a hangover. And then the next year, they were awesome. They even got off to a slower start. They did not look as great as I was envisioning them to, which is I remember making videos being like, I think the Lions are going to be great. I do not think they're playing great right now. Like, this is, what's going on here? And it culminated in that Bucs game, and then even against the Cardinals when they won, I was like, yeah, they won, but I don't love it. And yet they were able to keep winning. They faced all the adversity that you could face as a team, and they weren't able to bring it home. They're the first team in NFL history to not win a Super Bowl. It's pretty impressive. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Detroit Lions? Just, that Detroit fragility. Oh, man, that Detroit fragility. Put that on a shirt. Detroit fragility. I'll buy it. In that color. I love those colors. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.